Okay. In this video, let's work on Lab 6 together. Before watching this video, make sure you have already tried those exercises by yourself. Let's look at first question. Create a dataset with two variables x and y. The values of x are -10, -9.5, and up to 10. And the values of y are calculated by this equation. You can see the value of x is a sequence, right? And the increment of those sequence is 0.5. And we can generate this data set using a do loop. So let's do it. So data xy do, so x goes from -10 to 10, right? So just from the starting point, the starting value to the ending value by 0.5. So that's the increment. If you have a do, so then you will have a end, right? Yeah, do and end, so they comes in pairs. So we have value of x, value of y, so will be 3 times x minus 5 times x plus 10, right? See, this is 3x squared, so I have 3 times x minus 5x minus 5 times x plus 10. So this is y. After we calculate x, y, so then we will output. So write that to the resulting data set. Yeah. So print data is data xy. Let's run it. Okay, right, from -10 to 10, right? Yeah, so we generate this data set. So let's work on the second question. You have the following 7 values for temperature for each day of week. So starting with Monday. Yeah, so this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and up to Sunday. Create a data set with a variable day equals to Monday up to Saturday. So those are the values of day, and a variable called temp equal to the listed temperature. So use a do loop to create the day variable. Well, so what I expect you to do is, so you first, so basically in the data line, you will have just these 6 different values, right? So that's the data line. Then the data you want to create, so let's call it temperature week. So we will input, not input, okay? Let me think. Yeah, because those values will be temperature, right? We will input temperature from those and, right? Yeah, because tells us to keep reading from that. But however, so after we read one value, so it will be written to one row, right? So written to one row to the resulting data set. And so we will read that 7 times, right? So we will do day, right? So will be Monday, will be Tuesday. I separate those by comma. Wednesday and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah, I have a do and end, right? Yeah, so every time, so when I have a value of day, right? So then I read temperature from this data line. I will read one value. After I read that value, so I write that to output. Yeah, so for print data is temp week and run. So let's run it. You can see, so this is the data. Check the log window and looks fine, right? So no error. Yeah, so this is second question. Third question, you are testing 3 speed reading method, so ABC, by randomly assign 10 subjects to each of the 3 methods. You are given the result as 3 lines of reading speed. So each line corresponds to the result from each of the 3 methods respectively. So here is the result. So it just means first row just corresponds to method A, right? And so then we will have, so method B, method C. So for each value, so then will be one of the value of the speed, right? So let's try to see. So how can we read those? I will first copy this data line. So ask you to create a SAS dataset, right? So each observation should contains one variable, so will be method. So the other variable will be score. Okay, so there will be 30 observations in total. Ask you to use do loop, right? So let's see. So those are the data. So those data lines, data, so name of the data set. So let's just call it speed reading, okay? And well, so we will have a, similarly, we will have a do loop, right? So the method can be A, can be B, and can be C. So then we will read just the 3 rows separately. Then for each row, so that's 10 values, right? See, so then this will be very similar to this question, right? So then we will have a do loop to read those 10 values. So it means we will have a loop inside the loop. So I will say I from 1 to 10, then end, okay? So then we will have input, just read one value from that data line. So then we output the observation to the resulting dataset. Okay, so let me print data will be speed reading. Okay, so we run it. So see, we have A from 1 to 10. So those are just the first row, right? See, 250 to 333. So let's check. See, 250 to 333. See, then 267 to 300. 267 to 300. So looks fine. Also, I only ask 2 variables, right? Method and score. We do not want this I. So then we will drop it. So we will drop I. So let's run it again. So there's no variable I. So 2 variables. So method and score. So this is code. I forgot to show the code, right? Just in case you want to check the code. So this is second question, third question. So then the fourth, create a table containing those, okay. So containing those cumulative probability for a standard normal distribution as following. So use function CDF to calculate cumulative distribution. So if we click here, okay. So then this is just the normal probability, right? So the table for normal probability. You can see for each of them, how to read it, the value in the row plus the value in the column, right? So value in the row, value in the column. So then that will be the value of Z. And so in the crossing, so in this value, so that's the probability to the left. For example, here, this is probability to the left of minus 3.25. So this is how this value, is, so this is the meaning of the value in this table. So first, we need to know how to get that value, right? So clearly, so we use CDF, so we normal, right? So then you just need to specify the value of x. So then SAS will give you that that result. Okay, yeah, and let's try to get the table. In fact, so there are two tables here, right? So the first one corresponds to the negative part. This one corresponds to the positive part. We will clearly, so we will use do loop, right? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, because one column will correspond to one. Let's say one column corresponds to one variable, right? So here we will use a variable. Let's just call this guy x1, x2, x3, x4, and up to x10. Yeah. So then let's do it in this way. So then I will create a table. Okay. Let's see. So the data normal table 1. Okay. Yeah. So then we will have a do loop. So z comes from minus 3.7. You can see the first one is minus 3.7 and up to minus. This is just 0, right? Yeah, just up to 0. This to 0 with by, so increment will be 0.1. Okay. Yeah. So then x1 so will be the CDF of normal. Yeah. So then will be I minus 0.09. You can see because this column C corresponds to essentially C. For example, this first number, right? So this is whatever value it is, right? Essentially just minus 0.09, right? So then we will get the value of z in this cell, and then we just get the CDF for that value. Okay, yeah. So similarly, I copy and paste for x2, right? So will be subtract 8, right? Yeah. So then we will have. Let me just copy many of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, so then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, right? Yeah, so the end of the do loop. Well, not to end yet. Yeah, so we need to output, right? So write that to the result. Yeah, so if you print data equals normal table, table 1, right? And run. Something is wrong. Let me see. So what's missing value? So why that's okay. So this is z. Yeah, so I call this guy z. So should be z minus those, not I minus those. Okay. Yeah. Should be z minus those. Then run it again. Yeah, so we have this table, you can see. Seems here we only keep 4 decimal places, right? Yeah, but this one seems it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal places. Yeah, just let's set format. Yeah, so format of those will be format. Right, so x1 to x10, so let's use 6.4. Yeah, so just keep 4 decimal points. 6, yeah, because that will be the maximum. See, 6, because we have 1, 4 decimal places, and so plus that 0, and so plus that decimal point, right? I mean 4 decimal places plus the 0 and plus the decimal point. So in total 6 characters. Yeah, so 6 will be enough. And we also want to set the title. I mean, for this instead of name of the variable, so then we want to display something similar to this first line, right? Yeah. So here, so then we need to set the label. Yeah. So we will say label. So we want to display a z0, right? So x1 we want to display it as minus 0.009, and so similarly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we have minus 0.09, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Yeah, so then we ask SAS to use label. So in the print proc print. So now you can see, so this looks like the same as the table here, right? Yeah, so the same as that table. Okay, and so similarly, so we can get the second part of this table. We will have another do loop, not do loop, so data, and so then we have the normal table 2. Okay, I have a do I from 0 to 3.9. See if you check here, see start from 0, and so we will go up to 3.9. Okay, and so the columns corresponds to plus 0, plus 1, up to plus 0.09, right? Yeah. We will to this one with by increment will be 0.1 and, right? So then we will have x1 equals CDF normal and I plus 0.9, not 0.9, yes, first one should be 0.0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so then I change that to x2, x3, x4, x5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, so then here plus 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah. So then run. Yeah, so print data normal table 2, right? Yeah, so if we write, I think so. Oh, not I. Why I write I again? So should be Z. Okay. Will be Z here. Let's run this part. Run it. Why that's only one row? Oh, I missed this output. Yeah, because for each loop, I mean for each one step in this loop, right? So then we will write one row to the resulting data set. You can see. So now, so this should be the table. Yeah, and similarly, so we need to set the format. Yeah, so let's just copy this part to here. Yeah, so format, so the number will be 6.0. And so for those x, yeah, so then this will be, we will drop those minus. And so the value will be 0.0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, so add label to this proc print. So let's run this one. Okay, right. Yeah, so now, so this looks the same as the table in here. Yeah, so you can compare some of the values. You may ask, okay, so see, looks like we write those similar thing, right? Just repeatedly. So is that an easy way to do that? Yes, so we can do that using array, right? For example, for first one, let's just try to simplify the first one. Maybe let me copy this guy, yeah, because I do not want to override this one. So I call it table 1x, table 1x, right? Yeah, because see, this is from x1 to x10, right? So how about we define a array, right? So let's just call it x array. So then I will have 10 variables. Yeah, so then we have x1 to x10. So then in here, we will have a do loop. Yeah, do loop. So j goes from 1 to 10 and I think so should be ended here, right? Because this output should be inside of this loop. So for each of them, we will have x array j, right? So this will be CDF, normal, and see for we will be z. See how to get that. You need essentially you just need to get kind of a connection, right? So basically how to connect those. So this should be the same. Yeah. So we need to minus. See, this will be 0.01 times something. Yeah. So this something should go from 9, 8 up to 0. Yeah, because j goes from 1 to 10. So then we need to go down, right? So essentially we just need to use 10 minus j. See, when j is 1, for the first one, j is 1, so then 10 minus 1 will be 9, right? So 9 times 0.01, so then we will be minus 0.09, right? Yeah, and so for the second one, because the x is 2, right? See, when 10 minus 2, so then we will have 8. Yeah, so then this is z minus 0.08, right? Yeah, so then, yeah, we will have that. So let's try to run this again and to see if it works. Oh, something wrong. What's the error message? Undeclared array. Okay, I defined x array. Oh, I mistyped. Yeah, so that's array, only 2R. Yeah, so let's run this again. So now it works. Why like that? Oh, okay. I know the why. What's the reason? See, the reason is this output. See, I should output this one. I mean, so number of rows should be equal to the number of z, right? So this means this output is not inside of the inner loop. Yeah, should be here. Yeah, so now let's run it again. Okay, so now it works, right? Now it works. But the j, we don't want j. Yeah, so then we will drop j. So we will drop j. Okay, so run it again. Now it is fine, right? Yeah, but this z is in the last column, so we want it to be placed in the first column. Yeah, so then we will say var z and x1 to x10. Okay, so now, so this has the same, it has the same appearance as the table here, right? Yeah, so you may want to drop this OBS column. I think so we can have an option called no OBS, I think, no OBS. Yeah. So if you run that, see, this will look better, right? Yeah, so this will looks better. Or I think so you can write it this way, IDZ. Yeah. See, just display this one, IDZ. I think so this should also work. See, yeah. This will look better, right? We can do the similar thing for the second part. Yeah, so let's just do this quickly. See, we just define an array. Yeah, so I call it X array. The length will be 10. So we go from X1 to X10, right? Yeah, so then we have another loop. So I call it do J goes from 1 to 10. So then we will have X array. So for each of the J, so then this will be CDF. From normal distribution will be Z plus 0.01 times this will be J, still will be J minus 1, right? You can see if J is 1, right? See, because we need to plus 0, right? So 1 minus 1 will be 0, right? So it is Z plus 0. When J equal to 2, so 2 minus 1, so then we will get 1, right? Yeah, so then plus 0.01. Yeah, so then this is fine. We will drop this one. The do loop is here. Do loop should end. We end the do loop here. Okay. Yeah. So then we also want to drop J. Okay. And so when we print, so we want to print X1 to X10. So then the ID will be Z. Yeah. So let's call this normal table to X. Normal table to X. Yeah. So let's run it. You can see. So this is what we want. Yeah. So check the log window. No error. Yeah. So those are just the two different solutions, right? So the first one, so we only use a loop. Yeah. But for the second one, so we use also use array. Yeah. So this is use loop, and so we also use array. For this label, yeah, so I'm not sure so whether we can have a better way to write the code. Yeah, so if you know, let me know. Okay. Next question. So next question, okay, and Thanksgiving is celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. Yeah, so create a data set with one variable Thanksgiving, which lists the date of Thanksgiving from 1990 to 1930. So it can be achieved following the steps below. So first, we just create a data set with one variable Thanksgiving. Yeah, so which lists all days in November from those. So then we create a subset containing only Thanksgiving. Yeah, so let's see whether we can solve it. Thanksgiving, so data Thanksgiving run prog print. So I want to print Thanksgiving run. Okay. So do loop, because year goes from 1990 to 2030. Yeah, so this is one loop. So then a month is always 11. I mean November. Yeah, November means 11. So then what is day? Day can go from 1. Day goes from 1 to 30. Yeah, cause in November, so in total, so there are 30 days. So then we will have Thanksgiving, right? So then MDY. So then we just use the month, day, and year. So then we will get the date. So after you do that, so you can output the value to the output. Of course, so then we need to format. So the format Thanksgiving, so will be MMDDYY10. Yeah, so let's just try to check that. So print something wrong. Oh, data. Oh, so I missed equal. So it should equal Thanksgiving. Yeah, so let's run it. See, then we have the date. See, from the November. So I mean all November, right? Yeah. So those are all of them. Yeah. So looks fine. You can see. So you have the year and the day, right? So then the date will be November 1st, 1999. In the output, of course, so we want to drop the year and the day. Yeah. So after we find, so this looks fine. So then the next thing we want to do is we want to pick Thanksgiving, right? Because not all of the days are Thanksgiving. So then we will write those. We will have the if, then write. So how to tell? So it is a Thanksgiving. So it should be Thursday, right? Yeah, so Thursday. So then basically we will check the weekday of this day, Thanksgiving, right? So this should be the Thursday. Yeah, so notice for weekday function, 1 means Sunday, 2 means Monday. Yeah, so Thursday, so the value will be 5. Yeah, so let's run that. So clearly, so see, those are just all the Thursdays. But we want to, we only want to keep, so the fourth Thursday. How to check, so it is the fourth Thursday? Fourth Thursday, yeah, so just means, so if we, 4 weeks, basically, so 3 weeks before that, so should be still in November, right? Yeah, but yes, so and write month, so Thanksgiving minus 21, just 21, so 3 weeks before this date, so should still in November. So then it will be the fourth Thursday. Yeah, but this one, it does not rule out the possibility that it is the fifth Thursday. Yeah, so then we need to make sure, so if we just go 4 weeks before that, Thanksgiving, right? So then it will be, should be in November, right? Yeah, so you know that. Okay, so now, you can see, I think so there's something wrong. So I missed a and. So then you run that. You can check. So you should have only a log window. So looks fine. You can check that. So you should have only one day for each year, right? Yeah. So now it looks fine. Okay, right. See, basically you need and. Yeah, so then it guarantees it will be the fourth for Thanksgiving. Yes. So this is the code. Question 6. A manufacturer suspects that the batches of raw material furnished by his supplier differ significantly in calcium content. So there are a large number of batches currently in the warehouse. 5 of these are randomly selected for study. A chemist makes 5 determinations on each batch and obtains the following data. So the table is also available in the following link. Just load the data to SAS. Resulting data have 2 variables. 3 variables, right? So will be batch, replicate. Replicate, so just means this will be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, right? So that's replicate. And calcium just those values. We can check this data. So this is the data, right? So maybe we copy here and to make it easier to read. So the name of the data, maybe we first create a file. So file 1 URL, right? So we need the location of this file. We need the location of this file. So then we will get, let's see. I think so this is very similar to one of the questions we mentioned earlier, like this one, right? So very similar. Yeah, because so each row just corresponds to a different value of method. Yeah, and so here, so each row corresponds to a different value of batch. Another difference is, so here, so the value, so seems they are separated by this ampersand. Yeah, so then we will use data calcium, right? And in file, so will be file 1. The delimiter, so will be this ampersand, right? Yes. So first, so we will read the first one. We want to read. So either it is batch 1, batch 2, or maybe batch 5, right? Yeah. So basically, first we will read a batch. So this is a character, right? Because it has characters. Yeah. So batch characters. End. So asks us to continue to read. So then we will say do replicate equals 1 to 5. Yeah, because we will read five numbers. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So after that, each of them, so we will input calcium, right? And right. So asks us to continue to read. You output that. Then you will have end, then you have run. For print, data will be calcium. Okay. Yeah, let me delete this one. So then you run it. Right. Yeah. So then you can compare this one with the data. So looks fine. So log window, no error or warning. Yeah. So the data are loaded correctly. Yeah. So this is the code. So first, see this input just read the first value in each row, right? So then we have a do loop, yeah. So to read the remaining numbers. Okay. Next one, question 7. A researcher conducted experiments to compare the effects of for price and display treatment on the sales of a brand of air fresheners. Treatment 1 to 3 corresponds to high, middle, and low prices, respectively, and each had an extra display. Treatment 4 corresponds to the middle price with no extra display. So treatment has 4 different values, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The response variable was the unit sales for 1 week period. Experiment involved 2 blocking factors defined by scores stores and 1 week period. Yeah, so we have stores from 1 to 8. So week, so we have from 1 to 4. So in each cell of the table, so first number indicates the treatment. Yeah, because first number, so it's one of the 1, 2, 3, 4. The second number, so is the response. Yeah, so table. The table is like this one. So we just want to read this table. Copy this one. Let's check. See, we have the whole table here, right? Yeah, in fact, we just need to read this part. Okay. So let me just close the previous tab. Yeah, so to save a little bit space. File name, file to URL, right? So this is the location. See, file name. Yeah. So then use data sales run or print data sales. Yeah. So then we will have a in file statement. So file 2. The value are separated by space. Yeah, so there is no need to specify the delimiter. But for this first row, second row, we don't need to read that, right? Yeah, but we only need to read start from the third line. So this is why here I have an option. First OBS, so will be 3. So I read from the third line. But the remaining part, so will be the same as the previous question, right? Because the first number we want to read, so that will be a week. Also, by the way, so we will have a loop, right? Also, so first we will read a week. Yeah, so and so then we will read 4 cells, and every time, so we just read 2 numbers, right? Yeah, so we will have do store goes from 1 to 8. Okay, so every time we just read 2 values. So first one is treatment, next one is sales, and so then output. Okay, yeah, so let's run it. So looks fine, right? You can compare this with the table. So seems the data are loaded correctly. Okay, yeah, so usually you compare the last one, so this is 3 and 6. Yeah, so this is 3 and 6. So the last cell. So first one is 2 and 31. See, 2 and 31, right? So question 7. Yeah, so this is fine. So this is the code. Yeah, you can check the code if you want. Next question. The following data set contains information on 432 inmates who were released from Maryland state prisons in the early 1970s. Yeah, so copy this first, maybe then copy here. Those are the data, right? We have this is a standard CSV file. Yeah, so let's just use a import to load it. File name, so I call it file 3 URL. Okay. Pork import out equals inmate. The data file, so will be this file 3, and dbms, so will be CSV replace run or print data is inmate. Okay, so run it. Oh, see, this is the information, right? Yeah, information. Okay, so then what we need to do? So variables AMP1 to AMP52, so are the employment status in each of the first 52 weeks after release. So where value 1 indicate the inmate were employed full-time and 0 otherwise. So there are also many missing values. So create variables from text 1 to text 52 with values employed, not employed, or missing. Yeah, so which is determined according to those. Seems we have too many variables, right? And looks like we need to use array. Yeah, so data inmate, so updated. Let me print data equals the inmate updated. Okay, so then we fill in this data step set, so it will start from the inmate. We need two array, right? So array amp array, so we have 52 of them, so will be amp 1 to amp 52. Then we want array called txt array, also 52 of them, and so txt1 to txt52. Notice, yes, this will be text array, right? So then I think we need to add a $sign here. Okay. Then we will have do I from 1 to 52 and with an end. So within here, we need to assign the value of a text array. Yeah, so if missing, so if the amp array, so if the corresponding value, this I, right? So if this one is missing, then for the text array, the corresponding variable so will be missing. If then else if, right? So if this amp array, so if this corresponding variable the value is 1, right? So then text array will be employee. Yeah, so then else if amp array, so if this is if this is 0, then text array, right? So the value will be not employed. I think it will be 2E or employed. Yeah, so then this is how we write it. Usually, so for the length, right? So how many lengths? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Yes, at least we need the length should be 12. Yeah. So then we can specify the length in this way. Let's run it. Okay. There's something wrong, so let's see. Undeclared text array. Yeah, so I think so I misspelled the names. It should be txt. So txt array. And then run it again. Where's output? Output looks fine. See, not employed, not employed. Then we will have missing, missing, not employed, employed, right? Yeah. So now it looks like fine. Looks like it works, right? Yeah. So then you can check some of them. I mean, just try, randomly check some of them. See, for example, we may just compare, print some of them. Yeah. So see. We just print the var amp maybe 50, right? And the text 50, right? Yeah, so we just compare them to see so whether this is what we want or not. See, this is missing, this is employed, 0 means not employed. Yeah, so looks fine, right? Looks fine. Yeah, so it works. This is just how to write the code for this example, for this question. This is question 8, right? So then question 9, convert all character values in SAS data to a lowercase using array. So test your code using the following data. What's that? What's this data? So this is, we use this multiple times, right? So those are just grades for some students. Let's impose this data, file name, I call it file, I forgot which one, file 4 maybe, URL. Then let's write the name here. Okay, so then we use a proc import, so out equals grades, then data file, so is file 4, dbms, so that should be CSV, and replace for print, so this should be grades, right? So what we want to do is to see we have 3 character variables: name, gender, and department. So then it asks us to do is just want to convert. So every, any character value to lowercase, right? Of course, so then we need to use array. Yeah, so then we will have data. I call it the resulting data set will be grades lower. Okay. Yeah, so then we will have array char variable, right? So here I want to write a star because I do not know. So how many character variables are there? So then we can use this one underscore character. So this just indicate all character variables in the data set. So we will set grades. So then we will have do I from 1 to the dimension of the char var. Yeah, so this just this function dim just returns the number of variables in that array. So for each of them, the char var I, right? So this will be is the lowercase of the original variable of the char var I. Yeah. So if you do that, of course, we will drop I. So if you do that, for print data equal to grades lower, okay, you run that. See, all characters becomes lowercase, right? Yeah, and you check the log window, everything looks fine. Okay. Next one. The first line is the answer to 10 multiple choice questions. Yeah, so first line, so they are multiple choice questions. The remaining lines are solution of students, so starting with their ID. Yeah, so first one is ID, so then followed by 10 characters, so they are their answer. So write a SAS code to first read the answer key to a temporary array and then calculate the scores for each student. So each multiple choice question is worth 10 points. So that's how to do that. So first, of course, let's copy this one, and we will have a data line, right? So this will be put here. The name of the resulting data set, let's call it quiz. So we need a array, a temporary array for the answer key, right? Yeah, so this each of them will be just one character, yes. Yeah, so this will be temporary. So then we will have an array, so this will be the answer, okay, and So the length of each of them is also 1. We will read this one only basically the first times when we read it, so we should just read this line and so read those into the key, right? So this just means if this one is 1, basically when we begin to read the first observation, then we will say do I from 1 to 10 and, right? So then we will just input the key I, right? So just read 1 characters. So see, we use a in format, and so then use at. Okay. Yeah, so this at just means we'll keep reading. So then we will input ID. Yeah, so we've read first line already, right? So then we will read ID. So then we will ID and those of them. Yeah, so we will read ID. So the answer 1 to answer 10, right? So the format will be $1. So will be 1 character. First score will be 0, right? So then we will do I from 1 to 10. So then we will check scores. Yeah, so the score will be score added. So basically we just want to compare each of the answer with the key. So if the value they are equal, so then we will add 10 points. Yeah, so otherwise will be 0. So we can just use 10 times the key I equals answer I, right? See, if they are equal, right? So then it is 1. 1 times 10 will be 10. So 10 will be added to score. If this one is, if they're different, right? So then will be 0. 0 times 10 will be 0. So 0 are added to that. The value will not change, right? Yeah, so then we will drop I. Print data will be quiz run. Yeah, so let's run this one. 3 students, right? So we read those answer key. Then you can try to compare. Yeah, so whether SAS read that correctly or not. Maybe for example, see, we can compare the first one and the first student. Only difference, which one is different? I think so. Here, this guy 1 different number, second, third, right? Yeah. So the first student so only has 3 wrong answer, and the score should be 70. Yeah. So this is correct. So you can also check the remaining. So this is how we solve this question. I think so. This guy, this symbol, we didn't mention that in lecture. We only mentioned this at, right? So this just means we keep reading. This one is also similar, just also means keep reading. Yeah, because usually so for one input statement, so after SAS finish one input statement, so SAS will read the next line, right? Yeah, but this at, yeah, just tell SAS just to basically to keep reading on that data line. Yeah, so we run it, it looks fine. Yeah, so this is the code. Okay.